Good evening. I'd like to call the select board meeting of August 5th, 2026 to order at 5:04 p.m. Roll call.
Laura Schifrin here. Sarah Logan here.
And Valerie Goodrich here. Are you going to lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to thank all of our veterans and all of those currently serving, both here and abroad, as well as all of our emergency response individuals here in Townsend, and all of our staff, all of our appointed and elected officials for making us a better community. Thank you.
Thanks, Lori. And I'd like to announce that the meeting is being recorded and will be uploaded to YouTube. Is there anybody else recording? Hearing none here. Review agenda and announcements. I think that the only thing that we might take out of order is the first executive session, the right 47.13, correct?
I can't even remember what that is.
Before we talk about the Emily.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, so but that's later in the meeting. And then also if the head of conservation pops in, we'll move up the conversation.
Oh, yeah, I chatted with him earlier.
Oh, so we're all good? Not gonna be here?
He may pop in, he may not.
Okay.
TBD.
Great. Sounds good. We'll kind of play that by ear. So moving on to number 4, approved meeting minutes from July 7th and July 22nd, 2026.
So moved. Second, Laura Schifrin.
Any questions, comments?
No, I was fine. I did whatever the grammar.
You good, Sarah?
Yes, I'm good.
Okay. Roll call vote.
Laura Schifrin, yes. Sarah Logan, yes.
Very good, yes. Moving on to 5.1. This is for town administrator, procurement, road closings, handling grievances.
This is just something that you guys, it's within the confines of the TA role and the TA contract. I think it's also within the charter, so you do have to officially appoint your town administrator to work through those things as they come up.
We can do that. I, Sarah Logan, move to appoint Town Administrator Kieran Meehan as Town's Procurement Officer, signatory for road closings, hearings officer, and designee for handling grievances.
Second, Laura Schifrin.
Any questions? No comments? Roll call.
Laura Schifrin, yes.
Sarah Logan, yes.
Salary good, yes. 5.2, appoint Benjamin Smith as cemetery and parks and Townsend laborer.
You guys actually did that one, so that was just an error.
Duplicate.
Yep.
And you move it to 5.3. Probably
5.3. William Erda.
I, Sarah Logan, move to appoint William Erda as Cemetery and Parks intermittent laborer with effective start date as outlined in the employee action form and contingent upon successful completion of all necessary onboarding.
Laura Schifrin, second.
Important to note there, just before you vote, the superintendent, Mr. Roger Raposa, said he had chatted with FinCom or connected with FinCom, so they had approved this position, you know, when we think of our different policies right now and hiring freezes.
Okay.
Sure.
Any further questions?
No.
Roll call vote.
And also, didn't we just have a, somebody resigned?
Different role, but yes.
Oh, okay, all right, sorry.
Okay.
Laura Schifrin, yes.
Sarah Logan, yes.
Salary good, yes. 5.4, going down to board and committee appointments at the end of the agenda. Before we go through that, there should be a little discussion probably, because there's more people listed here than we have spots. So the first is Cindy King, planning board representative. We're actually going to do that at our next meeting.
Okay.
So that can be removed from that list because we did not properly post the joint meeting with the planning board in time for that. Incorrect. No, that one's, I'm sorry, I'm incorrect. That is fine. It's
CPA should be fine.
yes, I'm incorrect. It's your temporary, your alternate status. That's the one that has to be the joint meeting. I stand
Yeah,
corrected.
the CPA doesn't have to be joined.
Yeah, my bad.
But I don't like to say.
No, so that one, sorry, Cindy, that's the one I should not have removed. Sandra Lord to the Hart Library Restoration Committee, 805 to 505, 2027.
So moved.
Second, Laura Schifrin.
Any questions on that?
No.
Roll call.
Congratulations.
Oh,
Laura
thank you.
Schifrin,
I'm
yes.
so excited.
Sarah Logan, yes.
Bring it on.
And so that now brings the Hart Library Restoration Committee to 4 people. And there's an appointment that the Historic District Commission can make. We're not involved with that, it's an appointment. So the Historic District Commission can now appoint the 5th person to that committee.
Did they do that?
Pardon me?
No.
Did they do that?
So they didn't take a vote on an appointment for that. There was a volunteer that came forward, but they get to vote at this point to put that person in the committee. So I think I responded to the chair of HDC to do that, and she's going to bring it to the HDC. So in related to the West Townsend Reading Room, so we have 5 spots. Again, 1 is an HDC appointment. So we actually have 4 spots. Technically, that HDC appointment could be anybody, though. They could appoint someone who's not on HDC.
That's true.
It could be anybody. So, we have 4 spots. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 volunteers. So,
This is for the Hart Library?
yeah. No, this is for the West Townsend Reading Room.
Oh.
So we have 6 volunteers for 4 spots. Of those 6, 1 could be appointed by HTC if they so chose. But
So are the 6 listed right here?
yes,
But there's 5 spots.
5 spots, but 1 is for HTC to appoint. So we only
Of the
appoint
5,
of the
so
5.
we can only do 4.
4. So is his name's in the basket? We just,
I'll bow out. I'll bow out.
Okay. You sure?
Because I mean, it has to be appointed by.
So that still leaves us with, we can only do 4.
Yep.
And
So who do we have left on the list here? We have Kim, Mary Jane, Kathy, Geraldine,
Cindy.
and Cindy. Correct? So,
I would do names and just pick.
I think they're all equally as interested in serving on the committee, so
Oh, sure.
that's a hard decision to make. 4 out of 5, right? I'm not sure any wise words of wisdom.
Not on this one. Been there, done that as a select board member. Good luck to you guys.
Do you wanna, the easiest way, and that's nobody's fault?
Yeah.
Put the
Me.
names in a hat, pull out the names. We'll have the chief pull out the names.
Okay.
I'm good.
I do want to add, you needed a representative for the reading room from West Townsend, and I think the only person on there from West Townsend is my sister.
And Tim.
Kim lives there too, oh.
Yeah, she's in West Townsend.
Yeah, so 2 of us there. Yep, and there's several of you. But on the, is Kathy from West Townsend? No.
No,
So
But
it's
Kim
and
is.
Cindy.
Yeah, just those seven too.
And-
Oh, okay.
I mean, personally, I hope her name gets pulled because she wanted to do this
Yeah.
right on town meeting floor. So,
We're gonna do an Easter basket.
Oh, I already started.
I was gonna cut them so they're all the same size.
Oh, I have the same size. Yeah,
I'm
good.
They're gonna pick it up from you.
I've done a few fantasy football draft, getting together the orders, you know?
I think everybody is equally as interested in helping, so. I've never done this at a select board meeting before.
no,
I don't think I've ever seen.
I've never seen, I was just gonna say the same words. I've never seen it done
Or a
either.
lack of volunteers usually.
But hey, what the
Usually,
heck? New ideas are fine, right?
Here we are.
We're not hurting anybody,
Not yet.
not suing anybody.
I'll take it.
All right.
Chief,
Is he, are you gonna pick 4 or are you just gonna pick 1 out that's gonna get
Just do one
eliminated?
at a time.
Does this mean people are gonna serve get taken out of the hat, or is it?
Just one.
Okay.
Well, read it.
Okay.
The clerk will read it.
Okay, Kim Craven.
Oh, God.
That's okay. Thank you.
Oh, we're picking the ones that are on the committee. then.
Kathy Spofford.
I like the shaky though. That made it.
Yeah.
Now we get a 50-50 chance.
Mary Jane Churchville.
We get a 50-50 chance. I'm sorry to anybody that didn't get there.
And
but-
Cindy King.
Okay, congratulations.
There you go.
Sorry, Carolyn.
Geraldine, we still do need an appointment from HDC.
What?
HDC still has to make an appointment to that committee,
Yeah,
so
You may find a way. Can't get you out of here.
Be surprised.
So I'll take a motion, go ahead.
Be interesting since somebody's already on from HGC.
Yeah, I think as long as there's not a quorum.
Right.
Right?
There you
So
go.
I would say, whoever's not on it, go to HTC and say, I'll happily take, even if you're not on HTC, you can still be appointed.
So the
by them.
last we were told, there won't be a meeting of HDC until September 13th.
You have to wait.
But that, so the Hart Library Committee and the
They can
Wisconsin
meet,
Reading
though.
Room can meet.
There's a quorum.
They only need
both
3
of them.
people, so both those boards can start with. So do you want to make a motion with the,
Yes, I motion to appoint Cindy A. King, Kathleen Spofford, Mary Jane Churchville, and Kim Craven to the West Townsend Reading Room Committee ad hoc from the August 5th, 2026 to May 4th, 2027.
Laura Schifrin, second.
any more discussion?
That was fun.
Roll call?
Laura Schifrin, yes.
Sarah Logan, yes.
Gallagher, yes. Thanks, everybody. And
Enjoy.
last but not least, we have an election worker on this appointment.
I move to appoint Michelle Dodd as an election worker from 8/15/2026 to 8/31/2027.
Second, Laura Schifrin.
Any questions? Roll call?
Laura Schifrin, yes.
Sarah Logan, yes.
Okay, moving on to 5.5, resignations.
Yeah, so unfortunately, we had 3 staff members share the resignation notice with us. They include our assistant foreman, Mr. Andrew Funk of Cemetery and Parks. He has resigned his role with the town. Mr. Joseph Toshi of the fire department also shared their resignation with the fire department. And lastly, land use conservation agent, Mr. Colby Streeter, also shared his resignation notice with the town. We will look to discuss, 2 out of 3 of those roles in terms of their future with the town. The fire department one's a bit more boilerplate for the purposes that Mr. Toshi served that community. So that's all we got for now. So
What are the effective dates?
one of them
Do we
was,
know?
I don't know them off the top of the head. I have 8/5/7/27, 8/5 and 8/13, and then I think it was 7/27 for Mr. Toshi. So the letters are in the share
Yeah,
drive.
I saw them, but I didn't remember off the top of my head.
The effective dates are also tricky because many a time a staff member may be trying to work through their vacation time, so we're not just cutting them a check at the end or things like that. So it's respective of their role and their PTO and accruals. So
I'll take a motion, please.
I, Sarah Logan, acknowledge the resignations of Colby Streeter, land use, Andrew Funk, Cemetery and Parks, Joseph Tachi of the Fire Department, and wish them luck in their new endeavors.
And I'll second that, Laura Schifrin.
Roll call?
Laura Schifrin, yes.
Sarah Logan, yes.
Language, yes, and thank you to everybody for being a part of our team. I think we were all better for it. Alrighty, so moving on to unfinished business, 6.1. Do we want to take conservation out of order because we have, no? Okay, okay.
6.1 should be quick. This is related to the properties that were
No.
voted.
This
What?
is the updated agenda. 6.1.
It's something about the
Oh, it's
website.
designated
Website.
website.
I just sent you that email, an email with what the change was.
It's been a day.
It has. So you have it in your email, actually, if you want to pull it up, because that's how much of a day it's been. So there was a little bit of a question that arose when we designated the website as the official posting location.
Mhm.
Can you pull it? No, I just sent it to you. And essentially, the official posting location is the town website now, but it's on the agenda page where you have all the boards listed and the agendas that are there are the official posting location. So I think it would be helpful if the select board specifically called out in that policy, I'll play the sentence, that for the ease of public use, now that that's the official posting location, there has to be a link to the agenda from the calendar, so that people don't have to go and click through everything, meeting, agenda.
Correct.
So if you look, I just added one sentence to the policy that we originally signed, just an update, and oops, first paragraph. All meeting notices will be added to the town website's calendar with a link provided to the posted agenda. For clarification, because apparently there was some confusion.
That really makes it crystal clear.
So I will take a motion to update the official posting location as so indicated.
And can we do that just in one meeting, or does it have to be the reading and then a second and then, okay?
Selectboard sets it.
Okay, I, Sarah Logan, move to designate website as official posting location for required posting, per Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20, Open Meeting Law.
And to update the notice of requirement for posting off of the website calendar.
Yes, what Val said. Add it to that, please.
So amended.
Laura Schifrin, second, as amended.
Any questions? Comments? I think we just have to be very specific because the website needs to be easily, meeting agendas need to
Accessible.
be easily accessible, and
Yep.
if that's a requirement, I think it'll be helpful.
Okay.
We can sign out of session. And that also.
Okay.
Just print it there. Great.
Laura Schifrin, yes.
Sarah Logan, yes.
Salary Goodrich, yes. Thanks so much for that. 6.2 now. Mr. Meehan, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Jumped right ahead.
That's right. 6.2 was the auction, and the list of properties that were approved at town meeting. With that sort of emotion, we have had a few residents ask us, hey, when are you doing that auction? Our treasurer collector believes she needs about 60 to 70 or so days to get it organized, prepared. So with that in mind, I'd like to work with them primarily, and it's a little bit of the assessor's work, to set a date and then bring it back to you guys to approve that date. My guess is we want to be, the latter part of October if it's an option. And if we can't do then I would wait till after the midterm elections and after Thanksgiving and do like the first week of December would be sort of timing of this.
So my first question is, since it was voted at the town meeting, why didn't they start working on it then? So that it would be
Select
60 to 70 days.
Select board work. You have to tell me to go and do it with the treasurer collector.
So June and July are gone.
Yeah. So you just have to say you're okay with me working with the treasurer collector to find dates that work and come back to you and give you those dates.
I, Sarah Logan, move to allow Kieran to work with the treasurer collector to come up with dates for
The town meeting approved.
the town
Parcels
meeting
to be
approved
sold.
auction properties.
Laura Schifrin, second.
Any more questions? No. Roll call.
Laura Schifrin, yes.
Sarah Logan, yes.
Salary Goodrich, yes. 6.3, West Townsend Meeting Room, Title 5. Now we have West Townsend Meeting Room Committee.
Yeah, so I'll bring this online so everyone can see this. We do have a quote for the work to be done
And it sounds right.
and inspect. The Title V inspection and Board of Health fee for Title V report review from a local organization, Aero Septic, $950. This town still owns the parcel, so we'd have to approve $950. $925 for the inspection and $25 for the Board of Health fee forwarded,
Oh, which they may waive.
which, yeah, maybe they'll waive.
Yeah.
This, it would really be the committee's sort of support of this effort.
Mhm.
It would be the town that signs it, because it would be expended from the trust funds for this parcel.
So that's the business of that committee.
Right.
So they need to meet.
Did you have a question?
Yes, Sandra Lloyd, Wells Hill Road. My question is, would it be in the purview and responsibility of the newly formed committee to work on this as far as, number one, get someone like Aero Septic out there to pump the property, to vote on, to do that, and then proceed from there before we jump to Title V?
So I think if you look at the way the committee has everybody should read it. It's very specific. And the one important point is that the financial aspects still at least have to run through accounting. So the town administrator at least still has to sign that the approval of the use of those trust funds. It doesn't mean the select board has to be involved, it just has to go through the appropriate accounting processes.
But could it be started with the pumping of the septic system and then wait and see, proceed from there? Because this is the committee's responsibility to see what they can do with the reading room, what needs to be up and how it needs to be up and running. And I believe that this is a part of their responsibilities. Number one, get the septic person to go out there and take a look. And to pump the septic.
So normally, I do a lot of Title V's for different properties. I don't do them physically myself, but I mean, I order them.
Right.
And typically that number includes the pumping. So generally they pump first and then they inspect. So that will go to your committee or the committee for the West Townsend Reading Room, and they'll have that discussion and decide what they're gonna do.
Okay, so they'll be the ones handling the discussion of how to proceed?
Yeah.
Because, my point is, it's not like it's a regular house where there's you have a lot of, someone's there every day, you don't have the whole family living there, utilizing the bathroom. It's sporadic.
I think the important thing to note, and you can read through the
Right.
committee's charge, it still has to be able to pass appropriate insurance so that it can be used, because the town still carries that responsibility for occupancy and usage for whatever it's being used for. So read through the guidelines if you have questions.
Like, I guess, the torch is passed on to the committee to discuss this.
Yep.
Good thing, so me too, Estelle. I have a question, and I know it's delving a little deeper into this Title V issue, but what was the issue with the septic to begin with? Do we have something to dig in with?
Yep, so it freezes in the wintertime. And that would tell you that your distribution box is too close to the surface. So it literally ices up so that when you try to flush the toilet, the effluent just gets stuck in the D box. And then the second report was that there is a large root ball that has crushed part of the leach field to the fact that the soil is no longer a nice sandy color, it's gray. It would tell you that the septic is failing based on their.
So good luck.
Yeah.
The other thing, so I guess that would be addressed perhaps in the consultation with Board of Health, and then with the Title V, is that how the fee to go?
Yeah, so these Title V inspectors are managed by the state in terms of whether they pass or fail a system. They go through, it's quite a long, lengthy document. So they have certain criteria they're looking for. A group like Arrow is going to come out with that form, and to Val's point, I suspect that $925 includes a pump of the system, because you can't really tell if the tank's cracked if there's stuff in it. So one begets the other. But these folks will go in, they'll drain it out, and they'll look at their little flashlight, their little camera, and say, oh, that's cracked right there. Like, oh, that might be able to be fixed. Oh, that can't be fixed. And then after that effect, then you've gotten a report that says the tank is cracked, but the leach field's in great working order. Okay, that's what this will cost. It still fails. If it's a distribution box issue, it could pass conditionally upon replacement of the distribution box, but it has to be, again, you have to have enough soil covering above it so it doesn't freeze in the wintertime. You see that a lot in northern New Hampshire. They'll freeze because they're put in 30, 40 years ago, and they don't meet the thresholds these days. Things have gotten colder up there, I guess. So,
Thank you.
yeah, but I imagine that $925 includes the pumping of the system, because they can't tell you if it's working or not without that. So
the committee does have access to that trust and talent, but it still at least has to go through the town's accounting process.
I got it. Thank you very
So
much.
it's all there in the description of that committee. It was left out of the insurance on the building, so it has to have it all there. Good luck.
Thank you.
Can I make a motion?
go for it.
I, Sarah Logan, approve to move forward with the funding of the Title V inspection for the West Townsend Reading Room to be paid out of West Townsend Reading Room line item, and to approve the West Townsend Reading Room Committee to approve completion of the inspection.
Laura Schiffern, second.
Any more discussion? Roll call.
Laura Schiffern, yes?
Sarah Logan, yes.
Sally Peterson. Moving on to new business, 7.1, North Middlesex, negotiations.
Yep, so North Middlesex Regional School District has almost all their contracts coming up for their staff, including teachers, all the other workers that are critical to the environments there. And all, I believe, I don't want to misquote it, but I believe all those contracts are up come the end of this fiscal year. When that happens, you previously had Eric Slagle represent the TAs and select board on behalf of Townsend as well as the other communities. And currently, Mr. Andrew McLean of Pepperell has volunteered as tribute for this year to try to get us a good financially responsible deal. Working with the school committee and the superintendent for our 3 regional committees. With that caveat that the TAs we met, and I'll touch on this in my TA report, but the TAs met earlier this week, and he almost wants to provide a once a month update or a bi-weekly update in terms of how things are going. As someone who's began to build your budget for next year, I can tell you it's pretty grim. I'll be beating that horse for a while. So I think it'll be great to have Andrew at the table to represent not only Pepperell, but also Townsend and Ashby to try to get a good deal with the Mass Teachers Association and all the other groups that are involved over there. They do have 4 or 5 meetings scheduled already with those groups. I sort of gave Andrew my impression of the financial marching orders in terms of how tight our budget is, just from my perspective. And he felt the same from Ashby, with Mary sharing her numbers as well. So I think Andrew's a good resource. He's certainly more seasoned than I am in terms of Pepperell side of things. And we have our own 4 unions to negotiate with next year anyways. So we'll have a pretty busy.
It's a good year to pass the torch on to a different town.
Yeah, we'll have a busy, early winter and late winter this coming year. So.
I'm good on a motion.
Okay,
Would you like
yeah,
for support or?
Yeah, I think a motion for support would be good, and then I'll craft a letter saying, Dear Andrew, we support your advocacy for the communities and go from there. So.
Okay, I, Sarah Logan, move to support Andrew McLean, the Pepperell Town Administrator, to negotiate on behalf of the district towns with the North Middlesex Regional School District.
Laura Schifrin, second.
More questions? Roll call vote.
Laura Schifrin, yes.
Sarah Logan, yes.
Sarah Goodrich, yes. 7.2. Jay.
Chief Sartell.
Police Department request to appoint Officer Dylan Silvestri, is that correct? Okay.
Yes, yep,
To the position of sergeant.
sure.
Have the floor.
Sure, thank you, I appreciate it. Good night. So a couple things. First, I trust that everybody has read the correspondence, but I figured I would go over it real briefly, what we did and kind of how we arrived at our recommendation. First of all, we began this process in March. 4 qualified officers participated in the process. The process is pretty well healed at this point. We've done it a number of times. We have a written examination that is validated through an outside vendor. We proctor the exam, then we send it out for scoring. It's returned. We take that score, we add it to the person's packet. Then we have an independent oral board that happens that comprised of command officers from other communities. We had 3 chiefs that sat in on this one, Groton's chief, chief from Wenham, Massachusetts, and a chief from Weston, Massachusetts. At that point, we get feedback from them relative to qualifications. We don't ask them to pick our candidate. We ask them to rank the candidates in terms of whether or not they are qualified or not. At that point, I take that packet back and all those data points, and then we conduct an administrative review of their qualifications, performance, leadership, that type of thing. We had an exceptional candidate pool. All 4 officers were qualified, so we feel as though the leadership there is in good hands as far as career development goes. Each of the officers invested a pretty significant amount of time preparing for both the written exam and the oral exam as well. Competitive process for sure from start to finish. So based on what I base my decision on is overall readiness to serve in that position, initiative, independent judgment, leadership, communication, organizational awareness, and decision-making. We felt at the end of this process that Officer Silvestri had consistently demonstrated those qualities throughout the promotional process. As you well know, he is currently assigned as the school resource officer, so I have been in touch with Mr. Morgan to kind of inquire as to the next steps of naming an SRO in his place, because obviously that position doesn't require the services of a police sergeant. We're going to work with some dates. We do not feel as though it will interrupt our having a school resource officer in time for the beginning of school. There is some education in between that's required of all school resource officers. We've got that kind of set up and looking at that. I've solicited the department for candidates. We have had some officers express interest. Period ends on Friday. I'll coalesce after that and determine who's there. And in conjunction with the school district, pursuant to our memorandum of understanding, we'll develop a process to select a new school resource officer for the fall.
And he'll be missed over there.
Yes, he will. Yeah, and so will the dog, probably more than he will, right?
So I'm sure she'll come to visit.
Sure. So I'm very confident to present to you. I believe that he possesses the leadership, the judgment, and the professionalism necessary to serve the department in this role.
It's within the budget, which is important for those parameters.
My
And
next question.
I think it's
Yeah, so the budget
Good to
was
support
constructed with the promotion in mind. Basically, what I ended up doing is taking a top step patrolman, a bottom step sergeant, or a sergeant's wages, and kind of budgeted that delta in my salary line, so it is there. And they're getting started late, which means that we've got a month of benefit for not filling that position. So there's a little bit of a surplus in that one line. So it is budgeted. I don't see any issues in regards to funding that spot.
that's exciting.
Anything else?
Yeah, congratulations, man.
Yeah, excited. Sounds like a good match overall, and the process seems very thorough, which I always appreciate.
We ready?
Take a motion, Sarah?
Yes, I, Sarah Logan, move to appoint Officer Dylan Silvestri to the position of Sergeant to the Police Department with effective start date as indicated on the EAF form.
Laura Schifrin, second.
Any further questions? Roll call vote.
Laura Schifrin, yes.
Sarah Logan, yes.
Valerie Goodrich, yes. Congratulations to Sergeant Sylvester.
Thank you very much.
7.3, Police Department request to reclassify Administrative Assistant to Executive Assistant, grade D to grade E.
So again, pretty robust packet that I sent you for that one, including a revised job description. I figured I can give you a couple bullet points and take questions if I don't answer them in my presentation. But important to note, this is a reclassification, certainly not a new position. The request really kind of recognizes how the position has evolved over time. The administrative assistant has taken on responsibilities well beyond clerical duties, which was really the lion's share of the administrative assistant's responsibilities. The proposed title, Executive Administrative Assistant, more accurately reflects the duties currently being performed. She helps me with my preparation for collective bargaining, for discipline within the department, for policy development and promulgation. It makes sense. She's also taken on an increased role when it comes to payroll. The payroll at that department, and I ask you to ask around, don't take my word for it, super complicated, varying degrees of pay, FLSA rates, non-FLSA rates, shift differential, non-shift differential changes, Quinn bill. I mean, it is ridiculously complicated. At this point, I think we handle, and Karen can correct me if I'm wrong, we're about to handle the entirety of our payroll with very little done by the Treasurer's Office. I think we are doing the entirety of our payroll, and I think there are even plans to manage our time banks as well to reduce the errors in that area. So as you can see, that position has grown in scope and responsibility. So these increased responsibilities justify the change. I can certainly elaborate if that is necessary, but the scale was created under Collins. If you look at the original Collins Institute's study and you look at the departments that have positions in there already, it aligns with her responsibilities. I think there's an entire grade difference. I do think, for purposes of full disclosure, that entire thing needs to be reviewed, but as you had mentioned, we've got some collective bargaining coming up this year that will certainly shine a light on any sort of market adjustments that may or may not be needed. That said, I think this is a wholly separate decision. Get her on the grade and then figure it out from there. I don't think it's outrageously low at this point, looking at it in a very anecdotal way, but I do think a much more comprehensive market analysis is needed for the entirety of the departments, through the town's pay scales, which Mr. Me and I have talked about extensively over the last year. I do look at this scale as comparable to other communities. Lunenburg recently hired one for this very spot. Boxborough, I think, had one, if it's not already filled, that is in this same kind of realm. I think Air was in there as well. Don't hold me to it, but enough that I know that that band or that grade makes sense, is not outrageous one way or the other. Certainly not an other outlier. No additional funding is requested. This is not a request for additional appropriations of any sort. This again can be absorbed by our fiscal 27 budget. I don't find any problems with that. If I need to throttle spending in other areas, I can kind of make that decision on the fly as we continue to roll through the fiscal year.
And I will echo that, the police, working 12-hour shifts, there's all these considerations for the detail-oriented work. And I think the person in the role right now, she's there. And I think that means a lot, that she can quite easily track it a lot more closely than our treasurer collector's office has all of us. And I think with Jess's support over there, it'll be a great sort of synergy to work together. We're going to offer her a little training with Anthony, who does our payroll now, and then let Jess run with it. I think it's a great opportunity for her. And I think it'll make some great strides in relationships from building to building, because you can always improve those and always enhance those, and allow one of our great staff members to grow their career. And sometimes it's more expensive to lose people because you got to do the training and you lose the village knowledge. And I know she does a great job over there. I've had many great conversations with her. So
just a simple example of that is we have details that we run in the community that we have to bill for, we have to collect for, and we have to manage that entire thing through the accountant's office. We billed and collected $170,000 in detail funding last year. 100% of that was collected. That type of success rate doesn't happen by accident. There's a lot that goes into that administratively to make that happen. This board made a decision to have a fund set aside for us, a revolving fund for the admin portion of that to support that apparatus. That's a pretty significant job in and of itself per week and seasonal. And the seasons do not coincide with easy seasons. It doesn't allow us to kind of pump the brakes and close and reorder while it takes place. It just gives you just an understanding of what goes through that office is not just clerical issues. There's a lot of skilled things that happen, including collecting funds on behalf of the town and making sure that that's done. I want to say it might be 3 years in a row we've collected 100% of our details, and they always knock on a couple $100,000 a year in billing. It's a pretty significant thing. We use those bills to help maintain the cruisers, and now we have a revolving fund to support the administrative costs behind providing special details for companies in the area.
So it sounds a little bit like there's an inclusion of human resources. Is that your position?
It is, yeah, most definitely, particularly in light of not having it centralized here at the town hall. I have her oftentimes researching all kinds of human resources related issues, whether they be, what does the contract say about this? What is the past practice about this? What does the handbook at the town say about it? So yeah, she's involved up to her eyeballs in our human resources issues as well, which makes it very important that it's a confidential position, because again, I need to be able to counsel with her without any understanding that there would be a violation of that. Sensitive information, medical information, she curtails. If you saw the amount of medical information, psychological tests that we get for our police officer candidates, it's very sensitive record. So it's very important that she has a handle on quite a bit in that agency. So it's only befitting that it's reflected in the rate of pay, to be frank.
And she knows it better. She's there every day, so it's really it helps the town as a whole.
Yeah, not to mention the person in the role is fantastic. Irrespective of who sits in that role, I think if we were to put that on the open market, I'm demanding it's a difficult job no matter who took it, to be honest. The skill set is varied for sure. So the fact that we have a rock star in there is a bonus for sure.
Valuable.
Any further questions of the chief? Take a motion, Sarah.
I, Sarah Logan, move to reclassify administrative assistant to executive assistant, grade D to E. Start date is indicated on the EAF form.
Laura Schifrin, second.
Or any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Laura Schifrin, yes.
Sarah Logan, yes.
Valerie Goodrich, yes. Thank you so much, chief.
All right, I think that concludes my business.
Yeah.
Excuse, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Jay. Sorry for not recognizing you at the beginning, Jay.
Oh, no worries.
7.4, Authorize the town administrator to dispose of surplus personal property with an individual estimated value of less than 10,000 in accordance with MGL Chapter 30B and applicable town policy.
But this one is more just for keeping our meetings streamlined and, sometimes it's plates from the senior center, like they have 100 sets of plates. And I can get those up on Municipid and we may end up having no one take them. So perhaps they end up just being taken by the folks that visit the center, little batches. But I just don't know if it's worth, it's something I can do quickly for you guys rather than have it come to a meeting, wait for a vote and get it back out.
And this, in my mind, this is also related to a further agenda item I'm going to talk about, which is the administrative overhead of this office and the select board and the communication that goes up and back down to the departments. And if this is a case where the law is straightforward, nothing's changing, and we can authorize this, I think it could help with that whole process. I heard from a department head who was like, that would be wonderful. And I have old tables that are sitting there waiting for the
I heard
select
about the
board
tables
for 2
yesterday.
months.
Yeah, I was like,
So, any questions about it?
No, can I make a motion?
You please do.
I, Sarah Logan, move to authorize town administrator to dispose of surplus personal property with an individual estimated value of less than 10,000 in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30B, and applicable town policies.
Laura Schifrin, second.
Any further discussion?
I will say that I'll note these in the TA report when they come up.
Great.
So like, hey, we
Excellent.
successfully got, the dishes out of the senior center, or like,
The tables out of the library.
well, there's also like 10 or 12-year-old TCAM equipment down in the
Yes,
TCAM storage
I
room.
was just gonna say those words.
It's not worth anything, but like, let's see if we can donate it to Neshoba Tech or someone so they can
Yeah.
put it to good use, because I don't think there's any dollar value. I don't know. I mean,
And we get more space.
more space, or is it put it on, I wish I
Declutter.
could put stuff on Facebook Marketplace for like $100, but we can't do that. so.
There's rules.
I know.
Okay. Any further discussion?
No.
Roll call vote.
Laura Schifrin, yes.
Sarah Logan, yes.
Doggett, yes. 7.5. Similar.
Yep, 7.5 is, contracts that are less than $10,000 for the town. Again, I would include in TA reports, but it would be, day-to-day items that we need signed in a timely manner that get services to the building done, whether it be like a plumber for the broken pipe, down the ladies' room down the first floor. And facilities was on vacation for a couple weeks, so could I have just signed the contract to have the pipe fixed, rather than having.
Routine town operations.
Yeah, rather than have an out of order sign on the door. We had it with the pest control contract. There was a lot of ins and outs on that one. Fiscally for the town, we were able to save $2,000 on the contract. So, we roll from there because the contract was up on June 30 and we need to move forward. And there's wasps and mice and all that fun stuff going around. But really it's about, these are small contracts in the procurement world. After $10,000, you have to go through 30B proper procurement. By nature, within myself, I work with the department heads to get a couple quotes so that we know what the baseline is for the market and go from there. So.
Sounds good. Can I make a motion? Okay, I, Sarah Logan, move to authorize town administrator to execute contracts and purchase orders with a total value of less than $10,000 for routine town operations in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30B, and the applicable town procurement policies.
Laura Schifrin, second for discussion.
Absolutely.
I think it's too high.
What would you like to say, guys?
5. That's my personal opinion.
I work for the pleasure of the board.
I'm fine at the 10. Let's keep the town hall
Pleasure of the
moving.
board.
I'm fine with 10 in these circumstances because, again, Mass General Law sets that kind of limit, and I just think we have so much stuff
Yeah.
that this board has to sort through right now that I think it's the right move, and the select board can do it. But I respect your opinion too, Lori, on that, so 100%. We'll take a roll call vote.
Sarah Logan, yes.
Laura Schifrin, abstain.
Doggett, yes.
Support.
Next one.
7.6.
Yeah, it was select board.
This is kind of a big topic, so it might take a little bit, but that's why we're here.
Do you want to jump around to the other items first?
Why don't we move this to, towards the end so we can get to the other stuff first, because this could take a little bit longer. So we'll move 7.6 at the pleasure of the board to the end of new business, if that's okay?
Yes.
Does that work?
Mhm.
7.7, tree warden position.
Yep, so we, Don Mizuko retired as of June 30th. We've had a few balls in the air in terms of some storms, some tree issues. Recently, we've had a few residents reach out about who is the resource for tree guidance, arborist type stuff. I've been sort of, just it hasn't been a huge priority until recently when we now have like 3 residents looking for some guidance. I do have 2 staff members that are interested in the role. I haven't really spoken to them about like a co-sharing or anything like that, but your highway superintendent's interested in the role, as well as your cemetery and park superintendent's interested in the role. We don't have a huge number in the budget there for this year. I think it's about $6,800-ish. There's a world you could say, hey, we just split it between the 2 gentlemen. You could tell me go out to find a local tree company that's less than $10,000. That could just be the person we call when something comes up. A few different options before you.
So if I can, there are individuals in town that are interested in doing this job in addition to their existing roles.
Correct.
And this would have to be an additional MOU with the union for those individuals. They're both supervisors union?
Yes.
Okay.
Are the individuals qualified to diagnose if a tree needs to come down or the health of a tree?
My suspicion is depending on the tree and it's really gonna be driven by the location.
Okay.
If it's in a right of way on a roadway, the highway superintendent would probably be the one to say, yeah, that's on the road, that's on the right of way.
Okay.
We should cut this down. If it's on town-owned land, but the tree's leaning against the person's private home, but it's on town-owned land and it's leaning over, I suspect you'd need an arborist to say, you know what, maybe we can trim it back rather than have a huge crane come in and really cause a disturbance in the ground. There's a lot of things to consider when it comes to this stuff. Don Mizuko was wonderful. He was, resourceful, and he went out and he sort of knew the guys and knew the people at play. So his sort of parting words to me, and I'm just trying to remember this because it was so, long time ago, was, A, don't make a big fanfare about me retiring. And B, he goes, you have some people in your group that can do some of this stuff. I think he was reflecting on highway superintendent and the cemetery and park superintendent, because sometimes they're the ones who get called anyways, because they have some of the equipment. It's not always calling, 1, 2, 3 tree works. It's sometimes just calling, Jim from highway to say, hey, could you bring a couple of guys down with some chainsaws to clean this up? The requests we have before us from a couple of residents, I think is a bit more detail oriented. One of them is a town-owned piece of land, and the tree is bending, kind of leaning up and over their fence line, and they're nervous about their house. And any given storm, I'd be nervous too. So I don't really have an answer for them.
And then our insurance becomes responsible because it's our tree that fell on their property?
There are some implications, correct? Yeah.
I would just make an observation that I had recently of some trees coming down near my house. And unlike the state forest, where the trees, you could hear them shake the way they drop them down the road. I can't even imagine the people that were right next to it. There wasn't a peep. They used ropes. There's 3 or 4 guys. You don't even, they do it without disturbing the ground. And I was like baffled, because I've had some done in the back of my yard at one time, and I heard every one of them come down. So I think where there's a will, there's a way of doing it correctly, where you don't have to worry about that. But certainly if it's a tree on town-owned property that's leaning on a resident's home, we should make sure that that doesn't happen.
So I guess you need support from the board to consider this position with our 2 existing employees. And to make the appropriate MOA or MOU as necessary, if so applicable.
And
Both those supervisors have experience with working with the tree warden.
Yeah, it's often who Don would call sometimes for a second opinion, especially on the ones in the right of way, because those are a little simpler on the roadway, but, on people's backyards, when it comes to town-owned property or a question about conservation, sometimes you have to check with the agent or the commission, is this tree in an area that I could cut down, or do I have to, what do you have to do? So, there's some legwork there along the way, so. I think Mr. Gates is behind us.
Yeah.
James Gates,
Speak up.
Concom chair, 73 Turnpike. So typically it's 1, 2, 3 trees that are of danger to property or life. It's just with administrative approval. We don't make a big deal about it. It's, if there is a concern about damage to the ground, permitting something like that during the winter is how we would proceed. But typically a couple trees, not that big a deal as long as it's not, gonna affect the tree.
Thank you.
And I think that might be why Doug, who might be one of our residents, has his hands up, if I remember correctly. Is that you, Doug?
Doug,
Yeah, thanks, Karen.
Introduce yourself, Doug, and give your address and you can have a minute.
12 Willow Drive on Townsend. It's the lot next to us. It's not conservation. We spoke with Beth in conservation. There's no protection on it. So just to clear that. And yeah, there's a giant pine leaning towards our yard. It's about 100 foot tall. And it probably made a 15-degree angle. We've had 3 companies come and take a look at it. So we're just waiting for a permit to be able to pull it down, or you guys are going to pull it, or just trying to get up to speed here. That's all.
And that's what I don't know the mechanism of, does the town foot the bill there, or does the town?
Is it a town tree?
It's on town property,
So-
leaning over a fence.
What, this is where we
Which
should
do you want to
quickly
pay
get
for? The tree or the
the tree
damage?
warden. Yeah, I mean, can
I won't
I
plead
be,
the fifth.
can I be so bold as to ask for an acting tree warden to get this figured out while you're figuring out the permanent solution?
Oh,
Do you want one?
If you know someone.
Well, I mean,
one of the recommended.
one of the recommended.
I could tap, I'll probably ask Jim first, because I think he's the one who's really shared a letter with me in terms of his interests, and Roger verbally shared interests. So I'll tap him first and say, hey, Doug, can you just email me and just say I'm at 12 Willow, and then I'll link in Jim Smith, our highway superintendent.
Sure. Can he do permitting? Is that really like the issue? Because if that's all we need, like, we can pull the tree down. We just really want to be able to take it down for safety.
There really is no permit.
No, so, and if there was, I'd sign it right away.
Yeah.
It's a danger. But it's outside of all that. It's a matter of, does the town give permission? If it's not on the agenda for permission. Right.
Yeah. But that would.
I can't really hear him very well. Didn't catch all that, but I'll talk with Karen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so essentially, it's not an agenda item for us to vote to allow your tree company to have permission to access the town-owned land.
Okay.
We would have to vote and approve that. However, in lieu of it being a danger to your home, I would likely support a letter for an emergency protocol to have the tree removed so that it does not hurt your home in the event we get a nasty thunderstorm tomorrow night, hypothetically. So if you send me an email, say you're 12 Willow, maybe just include a picture of the tree.
Sure.
We'll get back in touch with you quickly.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. So
Do we need a motion, or are we
I would
just
take a motion
approving?
to allow the town administrator to explore all options internally for filling the tree warden position and to report back to the board.
So moved.
Laura Schiffern, second.
Any further discussion?
Thanks, Doug.
Roll call vote.
Laura Schiffern, yes.
Sarah Logan, yes.
Tiger, yes. 7.8. James, you want to come up for this? Exception to the hiring freeze, conservation agent, and cemetery and parks foreman.
Yep, Doug, you're muted, but I'm guessing you're saying thank you and you'll email us, so. So again, Mr. Streeter resigned a short time ago. His technical last day is the 13th of August. You're sort of burning up some accruals, which every employee is entitled to do. In the meantime, that leaves us without a real plan for moving the conservation agent forward and finding someone to really step up for some of the paperwork, administrative roles that are part of that department. I alone today, had 3 people stop by, asking conservation related questions. A couple dropped off, file folders so that the commission can review them at an upcoming meeting. I think Mr. Gates, as the chair, and that commission has been sort of jumping on some things that were outstanding to get resolved for the commission as well as for the residents. And it's sort of leaving us in a spot right now for conservation that what's our short-term plan to find someone to really help with the admin work and making sure the files are ready to go for a meeting, but also, looking at going out to do wetlands delineations with the commission, or, reviewing an NOI, or, order of conditions for the group, so that they can keep business moving forward for the residents and the property owners in town.
So we don't do wetland delineation. That's not for us to decide. That's for a paid professional to do. But it's a matter of keeping everything organized and having us ready in a meeting to hit the ground running. Something we pride ourselves on is trying to have a quick turnaround. Some of these things do get dragged out, and it's just part of the process. But overall, you can look back at town reports with our permits, and we've had more permits throughout the last 5 years since I looked. The last year we've had a huge drop off, but it also seems there's been a lot more issues that we've had to try to resolve. So
in the past, I know that the board has had to work through other transitions. What has worked and what hasn't worked?
So when we had the last transition, we had Sabrina helped us, and she was a huge asset. She was cut and dry, straight to the point, and she helped with the administrative side of things. There are things that I was able to, answer remotely over email or sign, to keep everything moving. But in terms of getting meetings ready, agendas ready, and minutes completed, she kept us up to date.
Is she willing to do that?
Yeah, I think that's a conversation we could entertain with her. We also have to be respectful of, it's a clerical union position. So we're allowed to do temporary and contract type work. Specifically, Jane from MTC specified it could be contracted type work or a temporary placement into the role. So we have to make sure we honor that and we're respectful to the ABSME folks on that side of things.
She could also give you feedback of how much time she spent doing things as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And that might be, so I don't believe the planning board and zoning board of appeals admin is interested in the role. They recently reduced their hours already. And I don't want to speak for her, but I think folks are coming in just sort of handing stuff off to her, and that's not really fair to her and her role. They're making their way down to this side of the building, which is fine. I chatted with the gentleman from Dulles and Roy today about, big packet of plans, which, chat with James about, is something that'll come up.
And I've already talked to them.
Right.
So, that's all set. We'll put it on the agenda for the second meeting of the month.
Yeah. So, in the meantime, I did also reach out to Oxbow Associates, who is a local land steward type group, sort of float the idea out to them, like, hey, is there any interest in just doing 4 to 6 hours a week, for someone, or remote type work. But we don't need a wetlands person, but you do need someone to make sure the paperwork's organized and stuff, in the event that we don't have an internal asset for that capacity. I checked with the other TAs in the area, notably Pepperell and Ashby. Ashby doesn't have an admin or an agent per se. They let the commission do it, but a smaller community. Pepperell's conservation agent also serves as their stormwater resource, and she backfills a few other details in that building. And Andrew didn't think she had the capacity for more hours of work. We could have brought either Oxbow or the Oxbow Associates or Apollo from Pepperell on board as a temporary placement just for 3 months to keep the lights on. But Pepperell didn't seem like they were interested. And Oxbow Associates said, break down exactly what you're looking for in this role. And I think right now we're kind of a moving target, if you will, because the commission's sort of retooling after.
But I'd add to this too that we do have a hiring freeze, so we would
We
have
have
to
a
make.
hiring freeze, but with somebody leaving, there's money in the budget
Oh yeah, of course.
to get somebody
Yeah.
part-time if we need it.
So, but I guess the question is are we making an exception to the hiring freeze to hire a new conservation agent?
Seems to be every week.
Yeah, but so that's part of the goal of that hiring freeze is to address how does this affect the budget? How can it be handled? Is this a position that we just have to post?
What about Lunenburg?
Haven't had a chance to catch up with them. I have
Okay.
a few other things to catch up with the Lunenburg
Okay.
town manager, town administrator. So.
I want to be recognized.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Were you volunteering?
I could use the money, but I'm not qualified. But anyways, Sandra Lord, Wellsville Road. I was just wondering, how long did it take? It's just more about like a timeline. How long did it take last time to get, and pull into the position? Like, what was the time
To fill
span?
the position,
Yeah.
months.
Months,
It's a hard one to fill.
months.
I was just curious.
No, it's a fair question, it's months.
Okay. Yeah,
So
it's-
if you get someone that's temporary for 3 months, well, you have it posted. But again,
If I was qualified, I would do it, but I'm not, there's no way, shape, or form I'm qualified.
It's why I lean towards just in the interim a contract company, because they may have 2 or 3 people. So if Kieran's out on vacation, they can still have Sarah, who's in the office,
I see.
keep the lights on.
Okay.
That's sort of what's nice about contract work sometimes, is no matter what, someone's going to answer the call.
Would that be a better solution long-term than
That would
hiring?
be a collective bargaining question.
That's why you could do it in the short term, just to say, we're trying to hash this out, figure out what the job actually entails, but in the short term, to support the commission. And
So-
you could also ask Sabrina or someone like Sabrina.
So this is 2 parts, and I'm fine putting it both on this. There would be a motion to make an exception to hiring freeze for a conservation agent, and then separately a motion to allow the town administrator to determine the best temporary solution while we were hiring that position. Is that okay here in the 2 parts?
Yeah.
So moved.
Well, let's do the first one. I'll take a motion to make an exception to the hiring freeze for the conservation agent.
Okay, so, I, Sarah Logan, move to approve the exception to the hiring freeze for the conservation agent.
Laura Schiffern, second.
Would you like us to pause on that?
Yeah, just thinking of like timing wise, do you want me to post this come tomorrow, or do you want me to? Careful what you wish for, because I'm going to share with you guys the budget in the next hour or so.
Why don't we take a
And
pause?
I know,
one's gonna-
that's why I'm
one's gonna
wondering
roll
if
to the other.
contract would be
We
better.
we have a meeting 2 weeks, we can bring that part back up.
Yeah.
I take a motion to allow the town administrator to pursue temporary arrangements to fulfill the needs of the conservation agent while we're addressing the bigger picture.
So moved.
Laura Schiffern, second.
That work?
Karen tried to hand me paperwork today and I said, I don't want this. So that's where we're
Yeah,
at.
we need something while we're figuring
Because,
out.
yeah, you get folders that are this thick, you've seen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, yeah.
You just,
Yeah.
if stuff doesn't stay organized, it has to start organized so it can finish organized. And if we don't have that, especially in such a sensitive area of,
Municipal governance,
yes.
okay. We'll take a roll call vote.
Laura Schiffern, yes.
Sarah Logan, yes.
Sligo to Jess, and just make sure Jane and Ashley are involved in that
Yep.
whole process.
The other part of 7.8 was the cemetery and parks foreman position. Mr. Funk is resigning, and finishing up shortly.
Thank you.
I'm not leaving.
You know, that's a really tough role to fill for the town. They were working about 32 hours a week, and so about 4 days a week. And the superintendent of that group is, he's really concerned by losing that employee. You know, I won't speak for him, but I sort of got the impression that was the heir apparent, if you will. But I think, you know, again, Mr. Funk found an opportunity elsewhere that was hard to say no to. So I wish him all the best, but in the meantime, we probably should consider, you know, an internal posting maybe for that role currently.
Has to go internal first.
It does for the first 7 days. We may have an internal candidate, but there's certainly a deeper discussion to have with cemetery and parks in terms of how it all shakes out. So.
Can we put a hold on that one as well?
Well, if we want to post internally, we can't. So.
You could just put a hold on it for a couple of weeks, because I did have a late email from, I can't remember if it was Roger or Jim, saying, hey, why don't we all sit together for an hour?
So 2 weeks. We can bring it up these okay? Yeah. Take no action.
Take no action. Okay, good.
7.9, Memorial Hall meeting.
I, Sarah Logan, move to approve the rental of the Memorial Hall for Historic Society annual meeting on November 8th, 2026 from 1:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. and approve to waive the fees and security deposit as requested.
Laura Schiffern, second.
Further questions? Roll call vote.
Laura Schiffern, yes.
Sarah Logan, yes.
Margaret, yes. 7.10, Treasurer Collector Department request to eliminate return envelopes with real estate, personal property, and excise tax.
Yep, so do you want me to summarize this one?
Yeah.
So our treasurer collector was looking at expenses and ways to save money. She believes we can save about, I think it was $1,600-ish a year by not including the return envelopes in your mailings, personal property, real estate. And $1,600 to me is a lot of money for our budget. And I think it will, she is going to put it on the, one of the tax bills. We'll put it on the website. We'll put it on the door down there, in that office. And it really, truly encourage people to use online resources, because you can pay your taxes that way. But I didn't think it was a bad idea for saving a few bucks.
I think it's a good one.
Yeah.
I always return the envelopes that I get.
Yeah.
Because I don't use them.
I always use them for something else, so.
At least I'll give mine back.
I was like, I could send that bill in, hello bill.
I, Sarah Logan, move to approve the Treasurer Collector Department request to eliminate inclusion of return envelopes with real estate, personal property, and excise tax mailings as presented.
Laura Schiffern, second.
And I'll add that it was helpful to have that whole analysis laid out for us beforehand. If anybody's curious, I'm sure it can be shared.
Yep.
Roll call vote.
Laura Schiffern, yes.
Sarah Logan, yes.
Margaret, yes. 7.11. Patrick Higgins' request for copy of all meeting minutes of the Townsend Select Board for the calendar years 1974, 1975, 1976, 1977, 1978, 2023, 2024, 2025, and 2026. So I put this on here for the purpose of informing the board and the public that this is a request that came to us by open meeting law, so it's required to be filled within 10 days. It's not a public records request. It's a legitimate request. And just so people understand, I think I would like to continue to bring forward examples like this, because I respect that sometimes, again, that communication going up and down can take some time. And in this circumstance, our administrative staff today is photocopying meeting minutes or scanning meeting minutes from the 1970s of the select board to answer this request. It's required, and I'm not complaining. I just want to explain to people sometimes what administrative staff has to be immediately directed to do if they don't feel like the response is quite as prompt as they would like. So.
And he's from Alabama, isn't he?
Just the company from Alabama. Alabama's a place you can file companies and stuff.
Like Delaware.
Yep, same thing. So the request will answered by August 9th, which is Sunday. Hopefully we get it done by Friday so that we don't have to do it over the weekend.
Fun thing about
other things don't get done.
Yeah, true. In some communities in another state, in a town that I used to spend time in and grew up in, They don't answer these requests. They just say the file will be available for you at the town hall.
Why don't we do that?
I don't know, but I think
Yeah.
Mass kind of needled us a bit on that one, because in Connecticut, they're like, it's at the town hall, you have all day with it. They leave it on the table for you.
Mr. Higgins is well known by council and other towns in Massachusetts.
And
Anybody can look him up.
Massachusetts,
Yeah.
right?
There's other towns, select boards, boards of health, conservation committees that know Mr. Higgins well. So thank you, Mr. Higgins, for that request, and it will be answered by Sunday.
And thank you, Valerie and Sabrina, for
We should figure out what the cost is of
following the
that.
sword here.
We should figure out the cost of that to the town.
It's not a cost we could recover.
No, but we're paying staff to do that.
Well, and
It costs the taxpayers dollars when other stuff is not being done. Just pointing that out.
and volunteer board time.
And volunteer board time,
So,
whatever.
I could ballpark 10 hours at about $30 an hour, to $25 an hour.
All right.
little help from council with response, and so, and potentially work afterwards, but we'll get to that later. 7.112, email accounts for volunteer boards.
Yes, so this is one that we've had a few of our board leaders recently reach out to us to say, is there any chance we can get an email address for our account? Because, you know, if you're a parent at home and you use your email address to correspond, you know, on conservation matters, but then you're also, you know, getting child's physical or your access to your My Chart at Beth Israel Leahy. They all sort of blend together in the event that there's an open meeting law or a records request of something of that nature. So we've had a few leaders from boards and committees and volunteer groups say, is there any way we could get an email address? So I dug into this a little bit with Sabrina. We figured out that the cost is about $20 a month per email address.
Whoa.
So they're not free. My first thought was, and I said this to the staff yesterday in the department meeting, it's like, can't we all just create a Gmail address? Because it's free, but we can't.
We can?
We cannot.
No, but so I'll just talk about this from someone who was a chair of a board for a long time. Like, I use my personal email for our library trustee information. I kept it all in a separate folder. The way it was explained to me is, yes, someone could go through and look at that, but it would be a person dedicated to look through that account. It wouldn't it would only be pulled the library specific things. Everything else in my email would not be accessible to the public. An individual, a neutral third party might have to go through that, but they can't release my child records. In the end, someone else on that board created their own email address. I know Veronica had one before she had a select board specific account, like veronicabos@gmail.com or something like that. So you give that email address, it's a different email address for your specific work on the board. You can create, you know, I know Don Hayes has Don Hayes FinCom at whatever it is. And so he created that email account and he uses that email account for his finance committee work. Just giving other options.
I never had a town account until Selectboard, and I have been on a lot of boards for decades, and it was always my personal.
And you can create your own.
I didn't even think about
But
doing that.
that is a possibility if anybody's concerned. You can open up a Gmail account, you know, Laura Schifrin, Pool Townsend resident on board at gmail.com.
One idea that one of our staff members, because I brought it up yesterday, they suggested, why not make a chair at conservation@townsendma.gov. I actually thought that was a pretty crafty idea, because then if you win Powerball and you decide to go to Anguilla or Alaska, then whoever the next chair is could just be reassigned.
Get it.
And I actually thought that was pretty, and I checked with a couple of the folks that were asking about this, and one of them was like, well, that's spot on, because I'm not going to do this forever, but like for continuity purposes,
Yeah,
it actually kind of made sense. So I'm just trying to give you ideas. If you
I think
think,
that's a good idea.
yeah, if we had 20, let's say we had 20 volunteer committees and boards times 240, it'd be $4,800 for the year that would cost us. But on a $30 million budget, if it meant better continuity for our volunteers,
That could be a part-time staff member.
I hear you, but I'm just,
Just saying, that is literally a fractional employee who's keeping the library open on Saturdays for 3 months. just so we're aware of the cost.
And I know I was excited about saving $1,600, so I'm just giving you the full map of.
Yeah, I'm not okay with spending money on email addresses.
So I would like to know what other towns our size
Yeah,
are doing,
right.
if people are okay
Yeah.
with me just asking that question to some other select boards before we make any motion on this.
Mhm.
I would like to do a little more research to know how other towns our size are handling this. If across the board I'm hearing, yeah, the chair of the board, or, I mean, obviously you can't get every board member. I mean, what are we
No.
talking about?
Again, I think it's about 20 groups or so, and not all of them want it.
But
Yeah,
if we start giving it, they could request it.
yeah, because you have to, if you're gonna do
Same
it for
treatment
one,
for-
you have to do it for everybody.
But we do have a few leaders of different committees that have an email address, and they're aware, those folks that have one, the ones that don't know that.
Of course.
So they're feeling a little inequity
Yeah,
that way.
agreed.
I think we
I
need
can see
to,
that.
we could probably have to,
I mean, what you're gonna do for one, you should do for all,
I agree.
either one way or the other, you know?
It's either yes or it's a no.
Yeah,
can we bring this up back up at the next meeting?
Okay.
You know,
okay.
reach out to the select board, MMA boards and see what people are doing and
So next meeting,
we can get an
Take
idea of
action.
actual,
Yeah.
what it would cost maybe.
it's 7/12.
All right, 7.13, we're gonna move. 7.14, board authorization for use of RAP funds subject to confirmation from.
Yes, so the town is scheduled to receive approximately $226,000 for winter recovery assistance program, which is a program that's run by the state of Massachusetts. In particular, they call it RAP is the acronym, and it's for helping towns after really heavy winters. Our state representative, Ms. Margaret Scarsdale, secured us, again, approximately $226,000. I've chatted with our highway superintendent. I've looked at our budget for next year, and I sort of came up with some ways to separate the funds. My suggestion would be the library apron entry point there. If you visited there recently, we had a meeting over there, so you may remember there's a cone. The ADA pads are all but destroyed, and there's almost like a little trough to get in there. So we looked at the replacement of the concrete apron out there. It was about $9,700. That's a group that gave us a local quote. We checked with a few other folks and they weren't in that ballpark. So we thought that might be a good use for winter recovery type stuff, because you can really tell the winter really did a number there. The second would be taking about $90,000 and offering that to our pavement folks, so the folks in highway, to continue paving and pothole treatment. There are countless potholes in town. There are countless areas that could just use some real hot top, pavement to be sort of placed on there. And that gets you right to about $100K. The remaining funds, I would suggest about $117,000 be earmarked for fiscal year 2027 snow and ice, plowing, the usual stuff. The stuff that we used $312,000 approximately of free cash this past year, fiscal year 26, to keep the budget afloat.
Any questions before I make it? So, you correct me if I'm wrong, Karen, but I would take a motion that, we allocate RAP funds as follows: $9,700 for library concrete repair, $90,000 for road work through the highway department, and $117,000 for the FY27 snow and ice budget.
Remaining funds for snow and ice. Yeah.
So moved.
Laura Schiffern, second.
Any questions, discussion?
It is just pending full confirmation from Scarsdale's side, so I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but
Pending confirmation from the state.
Yeah.
And I thank you to all our state people who advocated for these funds after this last winter.
Yeah, it was a heavy winter, so.
Any other questions?
No.
Roll call vote.
Laura Schiffern, yes.
Sarah Logan, yes.
Valerie Goodrich, yes. Okay, I guess.
And we went over 7.13?
We need to do an executive session first before we go back to that.
Okay,
So we're just taking that a little out of order.
sorry, I missed
We
that.
so now we can go back to 7.6, town administrator and select board goals.
Okay.
So just so laying the ground for this, this is something that we have to set by the town administrator contract, the measure by which administrators read every year, and it also sets the, steers the ship for FY '27. Probably would have been nice if it happened in early July, but we were a little bit busy. So, a lot of towns have done this in a lot of different ways. Some do very elaborate, amazing presentations, which I was entirely jealous of, have whole day work sessions to set goals. And so I pulled together
What little village was that?
I have no idea. Many people did. I pulled together kind of a loose list based on what we set up with the town administrator contract. I know things we've talked about in these meetings, and we should just have at it, delete things, take them off. Do you want me to just go through the basics, and you guys can just?
You sent it too late last night.
It's on the screen, if that helps, so we can do live edits if you want.
See it.
Yeah, so, and we're not in a rush with this. We should take the appropriate amount of time to go through this. So, why don't we just go one at a time, and you can say, this makes sense, this doesn't make sense, et cetera, et cetera. The town administrator should weigh in here because you're the one in the day-to-days. So, select board, goal number 1, improve personnel management and planning. Evaluate town staffing needs, organizational structures, regional collaboration, and personal matters to ensure effective municipal administration while continuing to deliver core services. So I think this is something that Kieran, when he was interim town administrator, realized has been a little lacking in all the challenges of changing between town administrators and interim town administrators. And we can see some of that in our agenda topics and longevity in staff, coming in and out. And also this relates to goal number 2, which is budget development for FY '28. I know, Kieran, that you mentioned reworking personnel policies, and I don't know if that's within our bandwidth this year.
Yeah, we have a lot going on in this community. You guys are exceptional at what you do because of the expectations that residents have, and a lot that is going on, to put it simply. So I think it's an admirable goal. I think there is opportunity for personnel management and planning to occur. I would think reworking the personnel policies handbook and manual for all our staff and employees would be way at the end after we've revisited with our AFSCME groups and gotten more than a 1-year agreement under our belt. It's tough to determine which one should come first. Should those agreements come first and then the policies, or should the policies come first and then the union agreement? That would be my question back to you guys.
Well, I guess that also probably to some degree is related to the human resources seminar and management. You might have a better feeling on that after you've completed that training.
Yeah, and having looked at the agenda for that and like the schedule of learning, I'm curious. So.
Maybe, maybe not. Does anybody have any thoughts on that?
Not at the moment.
Excellent.
I can't find that document in the SharePoint.
It's in there under
7.6.
So
This doesn't have to be approved today. We just have to start it.
new
hopefully
business, and then it was
get it going
7
so we can everybody can
times
sit on
14.
it and then.
I mean 7 times. Sorry, 7.6. 7.6.
Okay, I couldn't remember that part of it.
So new business and then 7.6.
We'll probably keep this on the agenda for a while.
I think the hope is to go through it today, get a feeling for how people feel, tighten it up and bring it back next time to approve. Because it is something that we have to get goals set within the first 60 days of the town administrator contract. So.
You got 30 more to go.
Time's a ticking.
Actually, you got 35 more to go.
So in terms of the town administrator goals within that personnel, it would be to evaluate staffing levels across town. I think the budget, as you're going to discuss, requires that.
Would it be, are you looking for me to evaluate all staff or just supervisor staff? Because I really think it's the supervisor's role to supervise their own constituents.
In consultation with department leaders?
Because some of the department leaders are actually your So like,
Well, no, staff.
okay,
Just so we can, this is gonna come up later too, just so we can clarify, committees and boards are here, staff falls under the town and the town administrator. Committees and boards work with that stuff very, very, very closely, but the town administrator and through the select board contracts with those individuals. So yes, we have this very cohesive relationship between our boards and their staff members, but ultimately the select board is the appointing authority for the employees. So we're not talking about committees, we're talking about just staff.
oh, I know,
Just, you wanted me to clarify that.
I want everyone to hear it.
Does that make sense?
It does, I think it would just be evaluate supervisors across town departments.
Got it, okay, noted. Regional
Because
agreement.
otherwise, it's within the understanding of, if you're a supervisor, like, I'm the one who, with support of the select board, evaluating their core municipal services, their administrative effectiveness, and civil service delivery. Like, but that may not all be reflected in the evaluation spreadsheet in terms of what I learned from the HR seminar, or I have my own personal staff evaluation tools. So.
Yeah, that's fine. Makes sense. Organizational structure, I think you mentioned this, Karen, is inherent kind of in the budget discussion.
Agreed, yeah, that'll come up a few times.
And then regional agreements, we started that last year. I know, Lori, that was one of our goals last year, and it didn't really go anywhere. Because.
And it may not. You
Yeah.
may be doing other things that may not be within, or it might be Lunenburg, or it might be who knows what.
In a couple instances, and just for education on what I learned having chatted with the Pepperell and Ashby one, I think they were approached once and then maybe they had an idea and it just sort of died on the vine and they went elsewhere. Like in particular, there's one role that I thought we could regionalize with those 3 communities, and they already went different directions to do it. And it's working out really well, and I'm like, we just kind of missed the boat. Because
I think we just didn't have the leadership that we needed at the
Whatever's
time.
meant to be.
Yeah, but I think we have to, every time a position is open, we at least have to reach out to the other towns and see, based on our budget, their budget, we're all connected by the school. I think we have to keep doing it whenever possible. Even like you did this time with conservation, like reach out to Pepperell, is there any way and obviously Ask Me has to be involved too. Any way we can, for mutual benefit of taxpayers. So, goal number 2 would be financial management and FY28 development. This is, I think, every year type of goal. Monitor current year spending, develop and present balanced budget, reflecting the town's fiscal realities, with meeting the required service needs and long-term fiscal stability. I think the required is kind of important this year.
Yeah.
And within that, town administrator goals would be monitoring current fiscal year spending, reporting back to us and the departments, especially because, Kieran, you can speak on this, our free cash, the snow annex.
Yeah, there won't be much this year.
Prepare and present a budget for FY28 balance and not relying on a Proposition 2.5 override. At least need to know what that looks like. Obviously, the community may hear back from, this board may decide otherwise, but we need to know what that looks like.
Agreed.
Airline services needed to maintain essential operations, government possessions, and long-term stability, supports budget development. That's, again, I think the important part there is essential services. We need to know what that takes. Then it'll be training. I'm most excited about select board goal 3. Just kidding. I don't know if I want to know. It's been a long time since we had a long-range financial plan to look at. And I think with adding 2 additional members to the board and a lot of really important budget decisions that we need to make this year, having some grasp on that is important. What's your thoughts on it?
Sure. At the pleasure of the board. I like Lori's line sometimes.
Can't wait for a bigger board.
And there is as we discussed, there's templates out there for it. As much as some software would be great.
Some boilerplate things out there that can take care of it for us. So.
Yeah. And the great part about this is once we get a update for this year, next year it's just adding a year and adding a year. Every year you just add. Once we've got that ground report, it doesn't take. Okay. Sarah, communication. Your thoughts? This is your favorite topic.
I know, just getting as much out there as possible.
Yeah.
I know Karen's trying.
One man band.
Especially with the, I think with the coming in the budget that we're gonna have to present, giving as much notice to residents, as much ample opportunity to look at it, ask questions beforehand, and then to work with our other stakeholders, particularly the schools.
I think we're, if I may, already way ahead of what I first experienced in my first 16 months. And that Karen is doing a great job, and I've heard good things about him as a TA.
Thank you.
I'm just telling the truth. And your reports, the notices you put online, the department head reports, we didn't have that.
Yeah.
We didn't have that. And I think that alone is giving the residents more communication than they've had, because we haven't had anybody in that position that has been doing that before.
Yeah.
So
I think also, like, I know we talked about doing like coffees or stuff at Starbucks, or like, do you think that's like a fall thing? I know things are busy with the summer and
I just
vacation.
put it on there because I wanted to get feedback on
Yeah.
that. Or is it a next year thing?
yeah, because right now they're busy scanning.
Indeed.
So how are you gonna?
Yeah, it might be more kind of aligned with the school year kicking off, would be my guess.
Yeah,
My
this
hope is
fall.
to get
Yeah.
to like after Labor Day weekend.
But if we can have a schedule so that we could like rotate, like I can only do evenings
Mhm.
or possibly Fridays. And then also, I think we had talked about doing a public comment section or a public question section on.
On agendas, that
Yeah.
would be 100% something that was a goal of mine. I got waylaid by everything that went on in July, but let's plan on doing that in September. Start that.
Okay.
If everybody's good with that.
Yeah.
Because you
That
could
would
have,
be one of the goals.
yeah, you could have like a timer.
Yeah.
A feedback schedule, not a debate.
No, so public comment is exactly that. It's like, if you look at the TA screening committee, we did it, and I think it would work pretty well to continue to do it that way. You can submit email. The chair, I'll read it out loud. You need address and your name, full
Yeah.
name. It's gonna be brief, 90 seconds. We limit it to maybe 5. I don't know, we'll
Yeah.
figure out the
Usually like
logistics.
5 minutes, and then you literally have the timer like on the shared screen. So people say, all right, like Sarah's got to talk about, the fact that it's, all grooved pavement out here, and it's frustrating because your car gets messed up and you get 2
We
minutes.
really need 5 minutes for that?
Some people do.
Can we do 2.5?
I mean,
Yeah.
we can figure out the logistics of
Yeah.
that, and I'll put it, and if anybody wants to change it, please tell me. I'll just try something to start, see how it goes.
You'll
Okay.
see after the first time you do it, what you're gonna do and you're not. gonna do it.
And the most
5
important-
minutes on pavement.
the
It's gonna
most
feel like
important
30.
aspect of this is the board doesn't comment.
Okay.
Right. There's no rebuttal, no anything. This
No,
is-
Okay.
Thank you for speaking up. Have a great day.
Yes.
And I'll say this too, we may wind up trying it at the beginning and at the end. Communities do it both ways. I've seen communities very successfully do it at the beginning. Some communities have put it towards the end because people who come for public comment, sometimes they don't stay. And the other part too, not that I would discourage that, is that sometimes their questions are answered in the course of the meeting. So try it out, see what works.
Yeah, I've seen that on other boards and.
But be like, oh, my question is answered through the course of this meeting. So public comment. Yay. Select board, some sort of open office thing.
Yeah, I think it would be,
I like getting out into the community, I think is better, because some people don't wanna come down here. I mean, maybe nobody will show up and it'll be a bus, but,
I'll sit there with my computer and
I mean,
have a Dunkin' Donuts.
me too, I can, you know, if it's an evening one, I can,
Select
Do
just
stuff.
rotates.
Yeah.
Comes along based on availability and 3 and there'll be 5.
and then, I mean, can we do some sort of like post afterwards, like we were down here, we met, these were some questions that came up, this is, or no?
You can,
Just so everybody
yeah, I
gets
think
the benefit
Yeah,
of,
it'll depend on the
Okay.
tone in terms
Okay.
of what was achieved.
okay,
Or maybe it just goes into the next TA report, like that with
Yeah,
7
I-
residents at
yeah.
Dunkin' Donuts on Elm Street.
I'd be fine with that too.
Dunkin' looks great, it's been remodeled.
But if
Here are
one
the top 5 things. that were
If
done.
one person's asking the question, there must be somebody else that maybe has the same question in the community.
Yeah,
And then also that can come back to the board as, hey, I have an agenda item. Can you put it on the agenda?
Okay.
Through the TA or through a board
Mhm.
member. Just be
Okay.
like, this seems to be coming up, can we address it in an agenda?
Mhm.
And that's not a problem.
Okay.
If it keeps coming up.
I was just thinking about some calls I've gotten lately.
If it is something that the board can address, I should
Yeah.
say. Remember, no day-to-day administration. So within that, we can clean up that a little bit. And so, this is specific to this year with the 5-member transition. So if anybody's looked through the town administrator contract, there is some sections that sort of acknowledge this 5-member transition. And I think it's important for us to say, this is gonna happen this year. It's gonna take a little bit of effort to adjust to the way it works. There might be a few policy changes, maybe legal that we have to think about, and access to the board. There's a couple things that are probably gonna have to be evaluated. We don't know until we get there.
Right.
And with regard to that, if you look at, one of my thoughts is that I think for the past couple of years, through no fault of anybody's own, we've had a little bit of dog squirrel problem. Like, oh, look, you know, like we were on these goals and all of a sudden this thing comes up. And like, because of a little lack of leadership, right? You know how it is. And we get like.
It's life.
Exactly.
Right?
But by putting out that as much as possible, like you get 2 new members coming on, these are the goals that we still are working with for this year.
Mm-hmm.
That's in the TA contract. It will be communicated to those 2 new board members through the contract, through these goals. And it gives support to the town administrator. If some other really cool idea comes up, that sounds amazing, but it is not at all related to this goals. It gives power to the town administrator saying, you know what, you probably should bring them to select board because this isn't really within their goals for this year. It might be amazing, but it gives you the ability to say, listen, this is some of these things are really critical for the town. We need to focus on this. Does that make sense?
Rein it in, basically.
Yeah. Obviously, things happen. You can't plan, but it does give the town administrator, if some board has this amazing, great project they want to do, like maybe this isn't the year for the select board, the town administrator's office to really take that on. Just because of the budget and the transition, new town administrator, 5-member board, personnel policies, 4 union negotiations.
School union
And I'm
negotiations.
sure whoever's coming will have their own ideas.
Absolutely, within the goals. That's in the
In the
town
goals.
administrator's contract. We can't be switching them
True.
in November. That's not fair to,
No.
and that's why the contract was written as it was, and the goals are set for the year, so.
Okay,
So, you guys
what
got
are you looking for?
good
I
feedback?
have that this is take no action and it's gonna be on the next
Yeah,
agenda.
so I can clean this all up and then we can vote on it on the next agenda.
Okay,
Does
great.
that work for you?
Mhm.
Does that work for you?
Yep.
Wonderful. So now we need to do executive session, come back out.
Okay.
Correct?
Yeah, it should be a quick one, but,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, TCAM, we're gonna take a quick, it should be 15 minutes. And then we're gonna come back out to talk about,
Thank you.
let's just think, so, hold on.
Thank you very much for allowing me to speak. I appreciate it.
No problem.
And thank you.
TCAM, we'll be back in 15 minutes if that's okay.
Yeah, we'll be back in like 15 minutes.
And
So
those,
I need to make an announcement for executive session.
and you gotta declare it, but,
Sorry. So I evaluated to move to 10.1, which is executive session pursuant to open meeting law, chapter 30A, section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining where an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body and the chair so declares. Ask me, Local 93 Supervisors Union, I, Valerie Goodrich, so do declare, and will be returning to open session to finish up the rest of the meeting.
Is there a second?
Second, Laura Schifrin.
Roll call vote.
Sarah Logan, yes.
Laura Schifrin, yes.
Valerie Goodrich, yes.
All right, TCAM, we'll be back in 15 minutes. Thank you. Thank you, sir. All right, can you guys hear us okay?
We're gonna enter back into open session at 7:08 PM. Can I just do a roll call for the record?
Laura Schifrin here.
Sarah Logan here.
Valerie Goodrich here, and we would like to go to 7.13, MOU for Board of Health Administrator via Solid Waste Enterprise Fund.
I, Sarah Logan, move to approve the MOU for the Board of Health Admin via Solid Waste Enterprise Fund. Subject to Town Council,
Labor Council.
Labor
approval.
Council approval.
To be signed out of session.
To be signed out of session. Thank you, Val.
Alrighty. Subject to council approval. Laura Schifrin, second.
So just a brief overview on this. I think we're pretty much all set. We just had to, make sure that Labor Council approves of the wording that the Board of Health one put in, and so we'll communicate that back to AFSCME and the employee and the Board of Health accordingly. But we do support, we'll take a vote to the use of the funds from the Solid Waste Enterprise Fund to go to this employee for administration of the solid waste program.
We'll get it going.
Roll call vote.
Laura Schifrin, yes.
Sarah Logan, yes.
Valerie Goodrich, yes. And now I think we're all done with new business. We go into reports, Town Administrator.
Yeah, so I'll take a couple of moments to bore you guys. Do you want me to start with the TA report or the department head meeting presentation?
Which one do you think is better to end with?
We'll go with the TA report first, and then
That's what I thought you were gonna say.
yeah, that seems it's a little bit more dry. So TA report, it's been a little while since we had one of these, but I'll get this online. I also found a cool program for kind of dressing this up a little bit to make it a little bit more graphically pleasing.
Love it.
So I'm going to take a couple tests on that, and then I dare to ask people on Facebook to do a survey to rank which one they like best, but I'll ponder that idea in terms of a poll to say, do you like version 1, 2, or 3? But we'll get to that.
Well, just a survey type thing is,
Innocent, I hope.
and you're interacting
Yeah.
with them, but just
Yeah, have a little
you're
fun with it.
asking their opinion.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Yeah. So, operations and facilities, we had a contract with Armored Pest Management to begin pest control services for town facilities. Oh yeah, sorry, I should share this online. The town had long been with a great local vendor for a handful of years. This is purely a fiscal move that I signed to A, get the buildings treated, and B, save us a few $1,000s. We'll see how it goes for the 1 year with Armored Pest and figure it out from there. Facilities is also continuing work with Impact Fire to address sprinkler system deficiencies. I believe we have it up and running now for Memorial Hall. It's worth noting that the fire alarm panel, which is right near the land use office here in Memorial Hall, is about 25 years old, and replacement parts it's like an old Honda Civic. Like, they're really not available anymore. Think of when I was in high school, that Honda Civic would last forever, but you could always go to like Auto Value to get the little pieces for it. That's not really the case anymore with these fire alarm panel systems. So it might be something that a future capital request arrives for us next year or the year after. The gentleman that was here, that's a panel expert, said he only has a few more years left, so he wasn't sure how many more years he'd be able to service the unit for us, which is always ironic.
Institutional knowledge.
It's like my parents had that guy who just knows how to fix the old
True.
Canadian furnace that
Yeah,
they don't make like that anymore. It's always a bummer. Some infrastructure and grant projects. The Brookline Street Sidewalk project is substantially complete. This is the section of new solar lights and sidewalk that meets the ADA guidelines. Between, it's basically Dudley Road where the police station is, down to just past a few residences before the bridge coming into the town center. A few check marks to finish there is finally moving the poles where you'll see some like gravel and base pack, and they're going to get moved with Unitil shortly. And then once that's complete, we'll come back in and we will put the concrete in there to meet the standard that's necessary.
Looks really nice.
It looks nice. There is a temporary sort of workaround, almost like a half moon there. So we are ADA compliant. Our building commissioner, who's our ADA coordinator, worked with Townsend Highway to make sure that we were enabling folks for safe passage there. With that project will also be the final completion of phase 2, our contract fiber optic connectivity in town, which will connect Dudley Road with the police station and will enable the long run up to the West Townsend side of the community where the recycling center is. So that'll be nice to have those network hub locations sort of identified on the poles. It won't affect the buildings, but it will add fiber optic resources in those areas. I worked with our Commission on Disability over the last week or so to submit a Mass DOT Shared Streets and Spaces grant application. The chair of that group had shared a Canal Street Route 119 West Elm intersection report that had been done by MRPC many moons ago. I think it was 2020 or 2019 or 2021 that report was done. So I referenced some of the areas there in terms of sort of the dangers that intersection really brings for both those that are walking in the area, but also cars slowing down for pedestrians and community members who are on bikes or children trying to get over to the Squanah Creek Meadow side of the canal so they can run up to the soccer field. So we'll see how that comes together for design and engineering work for that section of town. Also shared a Mass Cultural Council planning grant to evaluate Memorial Hall. This includes building condition, design improvements, and long-term preservation opportunities for town hall. It's sort of an all-encompassing envelope. It's about $150,000 for an eval of this building, with some of the funds being eligible for permitting and various accessibility compliance things. It's been a little while since we touched on labor relations, but we did close out those agreements, and the integration with AFSCME is being worked on right now. For those one-year agreements, we had a modest compensation adjustment and some benefits for our employees under that one-year agreement. Planning for fiscal year 28 labor negotiations will begin shortly as we continue to evaluate our budget. Police agreement is a 2-year contract, and fire negotiations will kick off in the spring because their agreement comes to expiration shortly. I'll dive deeper into financial updates shortly, but with fiscal year 27 underway, staff of all walks of life are processing our annual dues, memberships, recurring contractual obligations, and other fiscal year expenditures. Think of things like MRPC's funds, your once a year planning board dues, MMA dues, our insurance for the buildings. Those are some big checks that have been siphoned out of our budget. So we'll keep a close eye on those management things. So.
Except you also have to think about what we get back.
You do.
Is more than what we give.
Sometimes, not always true on the insurance, but I'll take that.
Absolutely true there, but that is not what I was talking
When I
about.
saw the insurance line item, I was like, holy moly, but I'm like, we gotta pay it. So.
Yeah, we have to, but
yeah.
MRPC, we always get more back.
Yeah,
so
they're great.
you gotta weigh that.
Yeah, and a lot of we also have MACC for conservation, so I know we have some new members there. So hopefully some of the education will strengthen that group, which would be wonderful. I know we touched on the winter wrap money, but I just wanted to reiterate my recommendations and thank you for the support there. I'll catch up with those groups to get the concrete going. Let Highway Superintendent know about the paving, and we'll put in the back of our minds the $117,000 or so in the back of our heads for that snow and ice fiscal year 27.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, that's going to be an important one. The topic of communications and public engagement, we've continued to use the Facebook tool. It seems to be getting a lot of shares. I know there's been a lot of interesting topics, whether it be the real smoky day we had here, which was really cool. If you saw the purple air sensor monitor, which we have on a variety of buildings here in town, you could see sort of how in the red the air was that day. And, if you had asthma or if you had any, respiratory conditions that day, you almost felt it because you could smell the Canadian wildfire smoke.
Right.
And it
The
was,
orange,
yeah, the orange
sun.
haze.
no, the sun, that was bright orange.
Which was
I've never
beautiful
saw
for
it
pictures.
before.
Yeah, it was different.
Wild.
My friends on the West Coast are like, oh, we deal with that all the time. I'm like,
I hope
I'm
we
around the
don't
West
ever
Coast though.
Alarming.
What was really unique was that purple air sensor. For those that were concerned about respiratory wellness, it actually would say like, that's a day you shouldn't be out, walking your pup more than really 30 minutes. And it had these ways to sort of see where you could go if you needed to get outside to walk a dog or to stretch your legs. So we did have some good interaction on Facebook for that.
And that was all through a grant, correct?
That was all through a grant, other than we paid for the outlets on the buildings to get those in, but those were modest. That grant will also open us up after 1 year of reporting for cooling corridors opportunities. So park tree renovations, finding ways to take really large parking lots and then put trees around them so that you're not getting residual heat off the pavement back into the atmosphere.
Heat island effect.
Yeah, so basically they'll pay for the pavement and then they'll also incentivize you to put trees around it and to keep it cool, which is nice. Conservation Commission recently approved an ecological restoration project near 72 South Main Street, South Harbor. This is a one-page informational graphic that I used some of AI to sort of clean up. I'll be putting that on the conservation page probably in the next few days. I'll link it to Facebook, and it just sort of shows, hey, this effort's going on. People in the public, this is why it's going on. It's for getting rid of invasive species, and it's been approved. Conservation Commission supports it. They're following the right protocols. The work will be completed. I think it was by August 30th, because I think they have an event down at the society after that point. But it's something I'd like to continue to do when time allows. And I won't give myself really any credit, because you essentially take the paragraph or bullet points and you ask a Canvas or a Chat GPT to say, design a conservation memo for this. And it's really cool. I wonder if I could find it.
It could be it'll be an exciting thing to go to.
Yeah, so I know I have one on my desk. I'll share it with you guys afterwards, but it'll get online shortly. We also have the installation of blinking signs on either side of the Canal Street Bridge. I know that's a spot that is reportedly, we've had some accidents, we've had some incidences regarding speed management there. It's a narrow bridge, so people are not always, aware of the bridge, especially if you're out of town for a soccer game up there, and then you come through that bridge and you see a pickup truck and a pickup truck.
Yeah.
We got to slow people down so we're not having any accidents there. Those signs were free. They're like those blinking ones that say slow down. They were free. They're solar powered. Not a ton of maintenance. Townsend Highway will install them. Nice to have that from MassDOT. Regionally, I met with a variety of folks at the Patriot Dispatch annual meeting. We met with folks from Ashby, Dunstable, Groton, Pepperell, and Townsend for its annual governance meeting. We have great representation there with Chief Sartell, Chief Shepherd, and Captain Grimley from our side of things. That group, Patriot Dispatch, was talking about the upcoming year in organization, as well as the recent almost $2.6 million grant they received for the renovation of their dispatch center, which is on the third floor of the Pepperell Police Department. That will really broaden their abilities to roll other communities in. So Littleton is curious about joining that group. Tingsboro may fall into that.
Groton's already in there.
Groton's already a part of it. And what happens there is, for your first 3 years, the expense for the town is all but covered by the state grant. And then the fourth year, you're paying 75% of it and the state covers the other part, and then it's 50-50. Because it's a regional agreement, the state's really emphasizing regional cooperation on these. Look forward to hearing more about what they have planned, and hopefully some drawings or pictures of what the renovation project may look like at Pepperell Town Hall, Pepperell Police Center for that. Governance reminder, it's a busy time of years. For those that have meeting agendas and such, let's make sure we get those on time to our clerk's office. including minutes. I know I'm responsible for some housing trust minutes, and these tasks are important in supporting our volunteer groups. I shared that with department heads as well. So a quick summary of the staff update, and I'll share with you guys the PowerPoint that I shared with them. FY27 budget outlook, beginning of the new fiscal year, employee wellness. So I'm sort of the HR person for the town now, so encouraging folks to use PTO. A couple of departments are interested in seeing if we would be willing to continue summer hours into the fall. So maybe it becomes year-round hours. I asked each of those groups that were interested to sort of give me a breakdown of why and what it would mean to the public and to their day-to-day operations. And also continue to remind folks of be respectful, be professional, and taxpayers are our customers, so be kind. I was responsible for I was a little grumpy, I guess, when I answered the phone one day, and I guess the person on the line didn't hear me say good morning, Townsend. I was just like, Townsend. She came in, she's like, hey, you got to be nicer. And I was like, I've never heard that in my life, but thank you for reminding me. So I took my lickings, and I was like, I thought I said good morning. She's like, you didn't. I was like, okay, but usually I try to put a smile on my own face, but it was a good reminder to be kind to other folks in the town, because you never know who your customers are. So that was me talking really fastly. I will quickly show you the department head PowerPoint, and then I'll dive into just the recap sheet of the budget, just because I know we've been here for a while. So
I love this.
This was fun to make too. Let's see if it'll let me from the beginning. Yeah. So I try to pick a different theme every time we have a department head meeting. Summertime, so looking at a pretty beach. The agenda with the department heads and staff with schools, contracts, revenue, summer hours, PTO, accruals, and longevity. I called it the TA crockpot, and you see staffing and Q&A. I'll touch on this more in depthly when we get to the budget part of the show, but this is sort of the draft budget on the horizon and what components are really consuming the majority of taxpayer dollars. No surprise here, like most communities in rural Massachusetts, it's about 60-40 for schools and education. You see the other components and how it's made up. The real sore spot to me is insurances, as we just touched on. And, what type of support is there from the state, the country to rein these costs in? Because
there's nothing right now.
It's debilitating.
This is a big topic conversation at the MMA conference.
Yeah, it's tough. When you can only raise taxes 2.5%, but your insurance goes up 12 to 15%, how do you make any headway? So this was shared with the staff, and a lot of heads nodding and a lot of heads kind of grimacing too, that this is kind of the reality we're in. Your expense drivers, again, I haven't asked department heads or any departments to give me their expected costs, but I sort of ballparked a few of these. Myself, I always like to throw myself under the bus, but my contract has a 2.5% raise, like a few other department heads. It's a $4,000 increase, so that's a substantial increase for any line within our budget. Legal, we're currently at about 120, just a smidge under 129,000 in the omnibus budget. Next year I increased it, and for those listening at home, the reason why is because of the union situation. We have 4 groups that'll be up for negotiations. I don't know if
It'll run into the next year.
It may run into the next year, but fire is going to be a new negotiation cycle with them. We do still have day-to-day administrative things that I lean into council for guidance on along the way. A couple of union folks asked, do you have to always have town council there? And, I kind of pondered it, and then I said, well, if I'm sitting on this side of the table by myself against 3, it gets really odd. And then if you involve a select board member, as I know we've done in the past, it becomes kind of unfair in the day-to-day management of it. So I'm not sure
how that came to be.
Yeah,
so
and that gets really challenging. Yeah. And that, the folks that asked agreed. They're like, yeah, I can see how that gets tricky. But maybe we can find a way to mitigate the costs or be ahead on proposals, some other way to, try to find an agreement with those groups in a more timely way. Schools, I had input a 5% increase in their line items for their total assessment, not for their debt number.
This is just like just looking at what it could look like.
Yeah, and this is just a placeholder. Say what happens if the budget goes up 5% on $14 million or $14 million in change, or what it was last year. It's a substantial hit. You see here, you're at $819,000, which is a real hole in our budget, with growth only being 2.5% and reliance on some snow and ice money along the way.
And that could be 2.7, could be 3, could be anything.
And it's, having had a chat with Brad Morgan, superintendent of North Middlesex Regional School District, and a couple of his colleagues, Val and I chatted with them quickly just to reintroduce me as the TA for Townsend and sort of say, hey, here's what we're kind of projecting. How are you guys projecting? They start their meetings with the unions in September, and that's where we'll have Andrew from Pepperell. I made Andrew aware of this as well, and so did Mary from Ashby, just sort of how precarious a situation this is for us. The Mass Teachers Association is looking at, I think 5% is the floor for their group, but I don't want to speak out of hand for them. It's just what I'm seeing in other regional communities in terms of their agreements and the timing. So I'm hopeful for our region and our budget.
Why doesn't the state lift the 2.5?
It's a fair question, one that's becoming more and more common, and I think will be a focal point of MMA this coming fall or this coming winter, because it's not sustainable.
No,
and
it hasn't been.
No, it's a 1980s, 1990s guiding
Right.
parameter.
Right, and never changed,
Yeah, and
which is
inflation,
crazy.
inflation's 7% a year. So, how do you want us to handle it?
Just doesn't make economic sense.
So, you can see, other expense drivers that I ballparked with staff, and it's only fair to them and to our residents and to you guys, our volunteers, to say this is what's going on. So I think we got to continue to have this be a once a month topic until, the rubber really meets the road in the late fall, early winter.
I tried to kind of reflect what you had sent us, Karen, and some of the goals that I put in there, like seeing how this is and being like, okay, these goals have to meet some vague sense of this. This just being a guesstimate, but that's legitimate.
Yeah. Revenue wise, our taxpayers who own homes know this well. It's really on the shoulders of those that own homes in the community and own a vehicle and, get a Starbucks coffee or a Dunkin' Donuts coffee, and it's at 25 cents for taxes or whatever it might be. And then the small sliver of state aid.
We've had some permits go out and some new construction has occurred, and so that's going to increase a little, but I don't think enough to make up for the expense.
No.
It's going to be increases.
And to go back to the goals, are there other towns that have had more consistent leadership where economic development can be a select board goal, But I just don't think we're there right now.
So this is sort of the fiscal year draft revenue projections. Just because I like history, this is our free cash for operating expenses. This past year, we used $239,500. We are not expecting a lot of free cash this go round. And so you can obviously see the reliance from 23 to 24 to 25 was good. It went down and then it ticked back up in 26. We ticked back up again in 27.
Keep that intact.
Yeah. As of a couple of days ago, this was the budget assumptions. I was budgeting a 2.5% wage increase for all staff except those under a compensation or an employee agreement already. 15% assumed increase for insurance costs, 5% increase for the school, And I was banking on the fact that your select board goals may be to have a budget without an override in it. And we were negative $713,000. I will caveat this by saying that we just had a debt meeting with our debt group, and they said, that number's off by about $280,000-ish because the debt's being called. And that's just the schedule of how the debt went. And it's year 4 of 5. And so the 5th year, you've got to pay your bill.
Yeah.
They may stretch that out to 20 years, which my first thought was that's irresponsible because it's like a credit card. If you just keep extending it, you're going to pay an arm's length worth of interest. I don't know if we can afford not to stretch it out.
Right.
We don't have to decide on that until.
No, but
We'll just get proposals.
No.
right, and I just want to keep this as part of the story here in terms of what it looks like for us. So then I asked the staff for ideas, and there wasn't a ton. I said, hey, let's work on these. Let's have this. Think of ideas over the next month or so and come back to them.
So just curious, what is our total salary that we pay town employees?
Off the top of my head, $2.5 million-ish.
Okay, so who do we get rid of for $1 million?
Nobody. Yeah, it's the conversation.
I mean, you got the schools that you're not gonna get away with anything they're gonna tell you.
Well,
Insurance.
that second point is a possibility.
Well, yeah, I thought that was our only possibility. It was the 2.5.
We may not even be able to afford 2.5%. Just want to throw that out there. So that's why I said to staff, no ideas of that idea.
Level fund?
Yeah, but if they're under a contract, they're going to ask for it from somewhere.
Well, that's the same for any contract we're in. If we go level fund and just get whatever 2.5%, isn't it? We don't even know if that would cover insurance, which we have no control over.
Right. So that,
Of course, no.
yeah, health insurance is something that health insurance could probably go out to bid.
Well, yeah.
Outside of MIA?
Yeah, there's not a lot of options outside
Yeah,
of
right.
MIA, but
Is there just the other one?
GL,
Yeah.
GP or something like that. And I know Papel got toasted on it, so Papel's thinking about going into Maya for next year. It's also, you have to consider our collective bargaining groups and what it means to their representation in terms of you try to massage insurance costs at all, they have to be in agreement with that. So it's something you got to sort of consider in the full scope. Continuation of hiring freeze, go back to the schools, use of one-time funds to offset reoccurring expenses. Again, a terrible practice, but
We are where we are.
yeah, all ideas are on the table. Regionalization with neighboring communities, continue that effort, continue that exploration. So that was, more the sad part of the department head meeting. Summer hours discussion, which I know we touched on in my TA report, was, our department's utilizing it. Most departments are. Most people are very appreciative of the opportunity. Some folks love coming here on Friday because it's quiet and maybe it's just a day away from home. So I respect that too.
Yeah, I noticed people are here on the weekend, Friday, at night, after people are gone.
Yeah. And
As
all,
far as meetings, and that's okay.
I mean, everyone has a key fob. The whole intent was either remote work on Friday or do an extra long day on a Wednesday and a Thursday, and then have the day off. Like, that's not how I treat it, but sometimes I'm here on Friday because they can be quiet. But some folks, have their own department, and they either check with their supervisor or they are their own supervisor, and they may not feel they want to be a part of the exercise. So, I did ask folks to check with residents and customers and see if they want to continue this options or find ways to improve it. TA Crockpot, Everyone thought I cooked that food. I did not. This was things that you guys gave me some authority on earlier tonight in regards to surplus items, contracts, HR I touched on, which has me as the primary HR manager. I've begun processing queries, the required drug testing and EAF signing. It does collaborate quite a bit with payroll to make sure that we have the proper documentation for enrollment, things like that. I did give a brief sort of ethics lawsuit update to the staff. We have a few matters before the town, especially this week. I know there's a lot going on in the news. In the select board, others are facing some litigation. The ethics matter we work through via the state and those specific personnel. There's a process for that, and lawsuits will continue to be managed with the legal teams in hopes of getting to a resolution. Staff updates, we talked about these, but this is what I shared with the staff. There is an internal posting for a highway department position currently. That'll go external shortly. That was a budget approved position. So, and thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
Do you want me to share with how the recap sheet looks? Don't want to see it? Okay.
So we'll have so many meetings about it.
Okay. Noted.
We'll put it as a big old topic for forever and ever. 8.2 liaisons.
I would like to report on something.
You have the floor, Madam Vice Chair.
So this is the first time that I've gone to the Cultural Council. And I think this is down on the bulletin board downstairs, but I told them that I would announce it, so I will, that there will be Art in Action, Meet the Local Artists on Thursday, August 16th from 4 to 7:30. So it's a Thursday, but it's going to be done before the band concert. And it's at the Townsend Meeting Hall at 14 Dudley Road.
Is that the 13th? August 13th?
August 13th, Thursday, August 13th from 4 to 7:30. And I'd like to request that you put this on our Facebook page and our website. It's downstairs posted, but if you could put it online.
We just created the Cultural Council webpage, so I will scan it.
This is awesome.
And then put that there and then link it to Facebook.
Well, yeah, I was on went on the page to see all their officers, and what I didn't know was that it's state funded, kind of like the CPA, but not worked in the same manner, but they take applications for different things. And they had $9,600 that went out in this year's budget. But this event is the first time that our local cultural council is putting this on themselves versus them just supporting all the
Because that's what I
other
know,
ones.
it's fun to go to other artists or creators and stuff like that.
Yes, or if anybody is interested, this has it on here, right here, but Nancy French is the coordinator of this with Laura Dole. And their emails are on here if anybody's interested in even joining them. I'm sure they would be happy.
Yeah.
So it was kind of nice to learn something new about what they do and how many events and others. In fact, one of the concerts this summer was sponsored.
Oh, nice.
So they were short money this year, but they were able to. And this list is on the website for people to see.
Cool.
What they do. So thank you for letting me tell you about that.
Any other liaisons?
It was fun.
Yeah, if you could just leave that with me and I'll scan it to myself so then I can put it on the website.
Okay.
Well, I'll do it and I'll give it back to you. I'll scan it. And,
You can do it.
yeah.
I found it
Nice paper
interesting.
too. Like
Yeah.
good weight paper.
Yeah.
Liaisons, the only thing I was gonna bring up as liaisons is Karen and I did meet with the superintendent, kind of to kick off permanent TA and help to establish that relationship and give them kind of an overview of what you just kind of looked at. So that went well, I thought. And I hope that there's a lot of back and forth open communication over the next year as that process goes on. So,
With the school too?
yeah. And they seem to be, I think it was a really good, productive, start for the permanent TA role and that superintendent. So it's good to hear. set date of next meeting. So, going back to Tuesdays?
This room is taken on the 18th for a town clerk. I think that's an election training night.
Okay. So we can do one more Wednesday? And then we can go
I'm
back to
good with
Tuesdays?
Wednesdays.
I don't know if we're gonna, we would, in order to do that permanently, we would have to talk to conservation, right?
Well, it depends, they don't meet every week.
Yeah.
We
Every other
could do
week?
off. Well, I'm not,
Okay.
that's not a decision that has
Okay.
to be made now.
Yeah, but so why don't we just do the 19th?
What time? Sure.
What time works for everybody? 4:35? What do you wanna do?
What do we think we have coming up for executives?
Who knows?
4:30.
Sarah, is it good with you?
Sure,
If you can do it.
4:30 on the 19th?
19th at 4:30 sounds great. And with that, I think we have a couple of executive sessions and then we will be, adjourning, oh, no, I didn't. Never mind, I'm not gonna say it, 'cause it's not on the agenda.
I have made a request with Karen to look into something that should go on that agenda,
Absolutely.
so.
We can, and you're, only in if you wanna just, you said it too.
He has to find out, get an answer first.
As always, if it's a Wednesday, if we can just have it by Monday first thing, and get in there.
Or I see they got revised anyway.
Well,
So,
that was, yeah. If it's,
and you're not the only one that does that, I see it quite often.
I try not to do it unless it's something I really unexpected, right? If we all knew about it, then. Okay, so, I guess we'll make some motions for executive session, then we will be adjourning from executive session TCAM, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So, yeah, I'm just gonna make the motions and then we're all set after we adjourn. We're adjourning from executive session. 10.2, executive session pursuant to open meeting law, chapter 30A, section 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel and contract negotiations with non-union personnel, water superintendent. 10.3, executive session pursuant to open meeting law, chapter 30A, section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to pending litigation where an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the town and the chair so declares. May Intervenor versus Town of Townsend, Middlesex County Superior Court, docket number 2681 CD 01140, Alex Goodrich, so do declare. Executive session pursuant to open meeting law, chapter 30A, section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to pending litigation where an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the town and the chair so declares. Harrison C. Mayat versus Town of Townsend et al., Middlesex County Superior Court, docket number 2681 CD 01747. Have I good, so do declare.
Second,
What's your name?
Sarah Logan.
I'll
Karen,
take a roll call
to adjourn at 7:46.
out of executive
Out of
session.
section, to go into
Yeah.
executive session at 7:46. Laura Schifrin,
Sarah
second.
Logan, yes.
Third, yes.
Yes. Lauren, yes.
Laura Schifrin, yes.
We've been here a while.
Yes. Thanks, TCAM. Thanks, everybody.